What's going on, guys? Today we're going to address something that I think every fourth gen, I want to say LS F-body guy kind of worries about, and it's a 9802, guys, and that is the door panels in these cars cracking at the top. Also, dash pads are an issue, but there's not really a resolution for those outside of replacing and fixing, and in some cases wrapping. That can be the case with the door panels, but for those of us that are lucky enough to have them to where they're not already cracking an extreme amount, we can kind of postpone that. So let's take a look here. Got my 2000 Trans Am WS6. We take a look. I am lucky enough to have door panels that are not cracked, but if we take a look in there, if we can focus, you can see the crack is starting, and then if you just look down the line, you can see this is another common spot that they crack. The reason they do that is because they have metal staples in there actually holding on this trim piece. So as you can see there, it doesn't allow the plastic to expand at the same rate that the metal is expanding in there, and it just leads to cracks. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take off this door panel. There are a few bolts that we have to get to. There's screws. You can see there's a Phillips in there. I think there's another one. I don't know, somewhere in here. I'll have to look for them, but then we have one here. We got to remove this piece. There's a few in there that we will cover today. So, first things first, tools that we need to get this done. If we go over here, we're going to need a small flathead. So, something like that, just to help us get the clips off the back of some of those, like the window switches and such, and the locks. We're going to need a Phillips head for that one small screw behind the door lever, and then we're going to need a bigger Phillips head, something like that, maybe not that big, but something a little longer to get in there. So we'll take these three guys and we'll get to work here. All right, first things first, I turn it on, I put the window down. Most people recommend that you unplug the battery from the car, so I will let you determine if you want to do that or not. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop this up, and you should be able to do so just by grabbing at the ends and pulling straight up towards you. There are little pressure clamps on the back side, so we'll pop that up and then we'll move forward. All right, so if we take a look at this off, you can see that there are just two little pressure clamps. The way I did it is I just grabbed here and kind of worked my fingers around to here and pulled straight up, and it came right out. So these two plugs here and here should be pulled straight out. This one, you need to use a flathead on this side to get it out. All right, so now that we have that out, let's take a look. The two on the sides just have those posts on them. So I used a flathead around the edges just to get it going, and then it pulled off very easily. And then you can see this one here, you just have a retainer. You need to push that towards the piece that pops out. So if you push it downward, basically here, it pops out. I did so with our small flathead. So now that that is out, we can proceed. Next thing we're going to want to do is we'll remove this little guy here, that little Phillips head, and then we're going to follow up by removing the little lock piece here. So the way you do that once you remove the Phillips head is you just grab under here and you start pulling out, and it will kind of follow. It's just on a little post there. It's pretty easy to get out. All right, now with the door handle trim piece removed, luckily we didn't break anything or at least scratch anything. It's also important to remember that there is a light plugged in there. If you just twist that, if you twist it counterclockwise, it should pop out. So that light is sitting here. Just a little, looks like it's a halogen. I don't know if you can replace those with LEDs, but now would be the time to do it if you wanted to. Also, to touch base on the little lock mechanism here, this is how it sits in there. So it just sits on top like that. When you have that top panel off, it works easiest if you reach under, and then just pull it out gently. It'll feel like it won't come out any further, and then you just grab it by the little, the tip of it here, and then pull it out through the front side of the trim piece. So, next thing, we're going to pull this guy off, which is another little Phillips head, and then we'll move on from there. All right, we got that Phillips head off. If you weren't paying attention, going backwards, just realized that, oops, dropped it there. Just realized that the longer, small Phillips head is the one that was used on the pillar, on the mirror cover. So all that does is it just pulls straight off. You can see we have 2 holes there, and they go here onto these little guys. All right, our next step is going to be the big 4 Phillips heads. At this point, we're basically done with the, I'd say the scary stuff, so you don't have to worry about breaking any of the 20-year-old plastics anymore. The 4 Phillips heads are here. There is the one we saw here. I won't focus, but you guys, there it is. You guys know it's there. There is another one tucked up under here. And then the last one, it's hard to show, but it goes straight up into the door handle, basically up into here. So we're going to remove those, and we'll be ready to pull the door panel off. All right, as we can see there, we have all 4 of the big screws out. I did use a big Phillips head for that, and it was perfect. They are all the same size as well, so no concerns getting those mixed up. Next thing is going to be grabbing the whole door panel, and we're just going to lift it up. It's essentially just on hooks that just kind of hook into the door, and then the screws tighten it down. Things to be careful for: the tweeter and speaker are in the doors, so don't pull too hard. You will have to disconnect those, and then we'll also have these wires here that we're going to need to disconnect once we get that off. So let's pull this panel off. We have it. All right, guys, so taking a look at the back side, you see where we have those hooks. Looks like I might have had one break, but I don't think I felt that break when I pulled this off. I wonder if this has been off before. But hey, it's possible either way. Actually, looking in there, I wonder if somebody had been in these doors before. It's hard to tell, but these are the hooks that I was referring to. They make it super nice compared to some of the door panels that I've taken off, just because, you know, you don't really have to pry around the edges with some of those. Like, I used to have a Monte Carlo. Those door panels were terrible to get off. So we got that off. Next step is going to be getting these staples out of there, because that's actually what's causing our problems. So I'm going to bring this inside. I'm going to work on getting these staples out, and we're going to end up replacing those probably with zip ties. That here works pretty good. So I did take a look down in the hole in the one that the plastic fell off in, and I don't actually see my plastic piece. So that makes me feel a little bit better. I don't think I broke that. I think it was broken in the past. Not that it matters, but yeah. So that's that. We're going to work on, like I said, we'll take this inside. We'll work on getting those staples up, and we'll find a better solution. All right, guys, so I got the window trim piece that touches the window on the door. I got this off. I didn't do video because it's very hard to show you guys actually what I was doing with it on the door panel. So I'm going to show you guys here. I have half of a staple that I took out in here. On the back side of the door, these were very flush, so you couldn't like get a screwdriver up under them. So what I did is instead on this side, and even on this side they were more flush than that, but this works to show you guys what I was doing. I took a little pick like this, and I pushed under there on each side. So I went down, I think there were 9 here, or maybe 11. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I did this for 11 of them, so I did it on 22 sides essentially. Is I would push that through, I would rotate it, and then I'd pull that back. So then I essentially got to where it is now with the pick. So you have a little room there, and then I would take a flat, or not a flathead, a pair of snips, and I'd get under there, and I would just rotate it until it was straight. From there, I took a larger snips, and then I just cut it as close as I could so that I could pull it back through the other side. From there, I was able to push it down and get it to pop up a little bit. So imagine that's a full staple there. I could either cut it in half there, or if I were able to get this cut close enough, I could cut, or I could just pull the whole thing through. So I got all of those off. Now the issue with this, now that we have it off, take this staple out here. Now that we have this off, if you look, you can see there's a little metal piece in the middle here. I lost focus, but there's a metal piece that runs through here. So as it gets hot, as it gets cold, it expands, it contracts, and the plastic can't follow that. So the plastic on the car, it cracks instead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill these out. We're gonna give it a little bit of space, and then we're gonna use some zip ties. And we'll just do exactly what the staples are doing, but we'll do it with zip ties. So we'll have a little larger holes than these zip ties are wide. So these zip ties have a little play to them, but we'll pull the zip ties through tight so that it holds it down to the door. So we'll do this and then we'll show you our end result. All right guys, while we have this off, I want to take a look at the common spots that these crack. As you can see, mine's cracked there. If you bend it a little bit, it basically goes away. If we take a look at the back side, you can see why it's cracking is because that's just it's a weak spot in the plastic. The other spot that I usually have seen them crack is right here and here. Again, where there's weak spots, and I would assume probably there, just because there are the weak spots in the plastic. So I have these all drilled out. They're all ready to go. So we're gonna zip tie these on and take a look at how it looks. All right guys, so we just put some zip ties in there. I'm obviously gonna cut these, but I wanted to allow you guys to see kind of how I did that. So they're up in there. Everything is looking good. Opie approves. And then if we go back over here, you can't see my crack anymore. So that's good. Nobody wants to see my crack, and it should be good for a while to go here now. Let's go put it back in the car. All right, guys, so there we have it. Door panel is back on. As you can see, can't really see it now. There is still a little dip in there. I could have tightened that up when I had it off. There is like a square hole here, and you can tighten them up and it looks normal. I was just worried about that potentially limiting its the ability of the panel to kind of expand and contract with the metal within this trim piece. So take a step back, it looks good. Just that little dip there, I won't have to worry about it though cracking, and I won't have to worry about the one over here either. Topped it off with some old Aerospace 303, and we're done. So the only thing, if you were to look, no, I don't even know if you can tell. I can't even see them down in there. You can kind of see the zip ties if you look carefully, but you got to really look carefully. So there it is. Hardest part, I'd say, was probably getting this stupid little lock thing back in there. But other than that, it all together pretty easy. So that's kind of that, guys. Pretty easy to do. The door panel removal is probably one of the easiest ones I've done, and probably one of the easiest ones to get back on the car too. Removing the staples really sucked, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. So it wasn't that bad if you use that pick and then the tools that I showed you guys earlier. This video was a little different. I didn't do any like time-lapse stuff, so hope you guys don't mind, but I hope it also helps you guys to fix your door panels in the future and give you some ideas to make that process a little easier. Thanks for watching as always.